screaming for Sarah with baby Trey.
Especially on the rainy nigger. Hardcore patriot.
Be on the side. The Palin book tour even bringing out a mass of fans in a downpour in Noblesville, Indiana.
You do have to have a wristband to go in. No reporters allowed.
The media may have been shunned at her latest book signing, but last night, Sarah agreed to be grilled by Bill O'Reilly on the fact check.
Can I say something bold and fresh?
Please.
You should have known. You didn't think the elite media in New York and D.C. was going to put a target on your forehead?
Not to the extent that they did. No, I didn't anticipate that. And evidently those running the campaign didn't anticipate it either. But, you know, they did what they did. But I'm here where I am today.
Bill pulling no punches and taking Sarah to task for getting the war of words with Levi Johnston.
Oprah asked you about Levi Johnston. Will he be invited to Thanksgiving dinner? I wouldn't answer questions about him.
Because you guys ask, and I don't give me advice. How do you pivot away from questions about a character who is saying things that aren't necessarily true and certainly aren't very nice about, again, one of my children and my family.
Sarah admitting she'll strike back if anyone attacks her kids.
My guttural instinct is kind of like a mama grizzly bear. You're touching my cubs, you're touching my kids, I'm gonna respond, and I'm gonna set the record straight.
Well, Levi Johnston does have one confession about being intimate with Sarah's daughter, Bristol. His new insider interview is ahead, but Bill O'Reilly hits our panel. What was his toughest question for Sarah? You'll find out next.
But first, Demi Moore about Bristol Palin. Before he bears it off for Playgirl, he's telling all of the insiders in round 2 of tonight's gossip. Was Levi Johnston Bristol Palin's first?
You think that Bristol has ever been with anybody before? No. Have you ever been with anybody before?
Levi not fessing up to whether or not Bristol was his first sexual experience, but under the impression that he was hers. And don't forget Levi's Playgirl photos previewing tomorrow on Playgirl.com.
Let's get to it. Sarah Palin, you had some pretty explosive stuff with her last night. So now, tell us, what do you really think of Palin?
Well, I think Sarah Palin is a genuine contender to be a presidential candidate. But here's the interesting thing. I don't think the Republican Party is going to go for her.
What's the toughest question you think you had to ask Sarah Palin?
I said, do you think, Governor, that you're smart enough to be president? Because a lot of people don't. You should have seen her face. Do you believe that you are smart enough, intellectual enough, to handle the most powerful job in the world? Do you believe that?
I believe that I am because I have common sense.
Do you personally feel that Sarah has what it takes to be president?
I simply don't know whether Sarah Palin at this point has the frame of reference to stare down at Vladimir Putin. Being president of the United States is the toughest job in the world. And you have to really be smart and tough, savvy, all of these things. Is Sarah Palin up for that?
Do you think that the media has treated Palin fairly?
What is it about that, the woman, that just drives this unrelenting criticism? I'm not quite sure, but I think it has to do with abortion.
I don't want you to join our debate. We've been talking a lot about whether or not she's on a book tour or if she's secretly starting the campaign.
That's an excellent question. As far as her campaign mode, I do believe she is in there. She's going to places that she believes people will accept her readily.
What can you tell us that we don't know about Bill O'Reilly?
You know, I'm a boring guy off camera. I'm not a guy who likes to party and go to Hef's mansion. And I'm an old guy now, an old and boring guy. So that's probably what people don't know.
Mr. O'Reilly, you are far from boring. All right, we'll see you in a moment, Bill. And guys, stay tuned for Bill's special take on our best and worst celebrities of the day. O'Reilly Factor Style. And then, on Monday, no spin zone here. We'll have more with Mr. O'Reilly.
I have to be very, very careful because there are nuts everywhere.
Does Bill O'Reilly fear for his
his life? I can't just walk around revealing death threats. Monday on The Insider.
Right now, more on Oprah Winfrey after